I'm Manila. I'm a partner at Plant Moran, and we are a long-standing partner of the CEO Insight Series. And a little bit about Plant Moran: we're a certified public accounting and business advisory firm. We do audit, tax consulting, wealth management as well, and we've been serving clients for over 100 years. We also are consistently ranked among Fortune's 100 best companies to work for, and that's really because of our people and our culture. So today we're thrilled to welcome Brandi Braun AL-Issa, President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity MidOhio, at our stage here at Dawson. As a reminder, we will pick 10 random registrants from today's program to present Crimson Cup coffee and tea gift cards and coffee. So thank you to Greg and his team at Crimson Cup for the generous gift. And be sure to stick around for our closing comments from Pat Cornelius this morning. He will announce today's winners. And I'd like to now welcome Jennifer Griffith, Regional President with First Merchant Banks, to introduce Brandi. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? Good morning. Good morning. How many of you have built a house for Habitat for Humanity? How many have participated? Absolutely remarkable. I got to do a woman's bill a while ago, and it was a fantastic experience. We're really great. So thank you very much. So Jennifer Griffith, First Merchants Bank, super proud sponsors of Columbus Chamber. I've been around CEO Insights for many, many years. Really involved in great conversations and the leadership moments and the great takeaways. I won't spend too much time on that because the reason we're here today is to spend time learning about Brandi. Brandi is passionate about how strategy, culture, leadership, and coaching all intersect to create impactful and thriving teams that are sustained through great stewardship. Brandi has been working in and serving the Columbus community since 2003, with over 16 years of public service, and now in the nonprofit sector as the President and CEO of Habitat for Humanity's MidOhio. Brandi is also a lecturer at the John Glenn Institute of Public Affairs, where she teaches leadership and strategic planning and change management, and is a certified life and leadership coach. Her passion for human-centered strategy and leadership systems helps transform organizations and cultures to increase their effectiveness and impact. Before joining Habitat, Brandi was the Chief Advancement Officer and Strategy Officer for the YMCA of Central Ohio, the Deputy Innovation Officer for the City of Columbus, I love that title, Chief of Community Relations for Columbus Rec and Parks, Deputy Director of Strategic Initiatives at Ohio Department of Commerce, and the Assistant City Administrator for the City of Gahanna. We're going to have so much to learn. Brandi is a graduate of the Leadership Columbus and a member of the 2021 40 Under 40 class. How many 40 Under 40s in the room? Congratulations, all of you. Please, Brandi resides in Columbus with her husband, her son, and her 2 Pomeranians. Please welcome Colleen and Grady to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. You know, you people with normal jobs sure do things early in the morning. So this is what life is like for normal people. Welcome, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
We were talking a little bit in the green room, and I didn't want to ask too many detailed questions, but you have one of those careers where you've done a little slice of everything. Mm-hmm. So let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Tell me where you're from. I just found out, too, where you're from.
From Hilliard.
Where I, of course, have raised my family as well. But then what was your major in college that led to all of this?
I double majored in political science and criminology. My original intent was to go to law school and practice law.
Well, that didn't work out.
It did not. It did not.
But some other things did. So,
yeah.
So let's talk about your career path. You started out as a public employee.
Yeah, I started out in local government, which is a great place to learn. The culture of most local governments is just wonderful. It's very collaborative. The people I met at Gahanna, my first job, some of which are here today, are still friends and mentors of mine.
So when you work for local government, I've heard other people say this, it's a good starting point. Mm-hmm. It's also very political. I mean, how do you manage, or how did you manage starting a career in an area that is very politicized and very strategic, I guess.
Well, I think I'm lucky. I worked for a local government for the City of Gahanna and worked for a mayor that said there's no politics in picking up trash and plowing the streets and taking care of parks. And I appreciated that no matter what your political affiliation is or what you think about at the national level, that local government is really about taking care of your neighbors and taking care of a community and make sure you have a well-planned community. Now, I worked for Gahanna for 10 years, went to the state, which was a huge shift. I was in a politically appointed position, and I went from an organization that was not political at all. I mean, there were some politics involved, but it was very subdued to a much more political environment, and that was a shock for me.
What was your appointed position, and who appointed you?
Andre Porter appointed me. He and I had gone to college together. He was the director of commerce, and he appointed me as deputy director of strategic initiatives.
So we hear this word all the time, strategic planning, and I know that's one of the things that you lecture on. What does that mean? I mean, what goes into, who are you strategizing for, and what plans are you developing in a position like that at the Commerce Department?
So, well, when it comes to strategy for any nonprofit or public sector organization, it's really all about how are you creating public good. And I think sometimes strategic plans and strategies get people, their eyes glaze over, they've been part of them, the plan just sits on the shelf. But having any kind of strategic framework or roadmap is just about just that, having a map of what does success look like, how will we measure it, and how do we all know that we're moving towards it. So for Commerce, it's a regulatory agency. It has 9 different divisions that are all very unique, or at least they had 9 divisions when I was there. And so our strategy was about finding what unites all those divisions and how do we use that to think about how we're serving the citizens of Ohio for the next few years.
I think eyes also glaze over when you say, well, work for the Commerce Department. Again, people aren't sure what happens there.
Yeah.
You know, how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
What was that like? What is that agency? What did you think they were doing that did serve the public good?
Well, so, I mean,
Y'all are thinking, what are they doing there?
yeah, I mean, it is, and I said this, a regulatory agency. So it's all about protecting the citizens of the state of Ohio, everything from regulating pawn shops to realtors to building departments and elevators and financial institutions. And I know there can be opinions around how much regulation is the right level of regulation. I think most people that work for government at all levels come wanting to do good and wanting to be of service, while there are different mindsets in terms of how to do that. But I learned a lot. I really didn't know much about commerce when the director called me and asked me to join his team.
I always know with regulatory agencies, there can be pushback in the relationship with lawmakers. That, you know, they want to pass these regulations and pass laws that then you are expected to enforce and put in place. And what was the relationship like back then with state lawmakers?
I was not directly involved in that, but we had an Office of Legislative Affairs that did that, and of course that's a big part of the director's job. But from what I remember from my time there, it seemed to be good, but I mean, that is inherently a relationship that has conflict, and for good reason.
What's the good reason for that?
Well, I mean, and not to get too academic here, but the separation of powers, right? The separation of the executive branch versus the legislative branch, and that conflict ensures that there are checks and balances to what's happening, although it can, of course, slow things down and be difficult.
So you went from there, excuse me, you went from there into the nonprofit world.
I went from there to the City of Columbus, so state and local government, and worked at Columbus for recreation and parks, and then moved to the Smart Columbus team after the city won the big U.S. Department of Transportation $40 million Smart Cities grant.
So when you went from the state to the city, how did that happen?
So a former colleague from the City of Gahanna became the director of recreation and parks, and he called me and asked if I would be his first hire to come help him lead change within the department. And I was ready to go back to local government.
And what change were they looking for? Because I will say, the city park system, the metro park system in this area, we're very fortunate. We've got some great recreational facilities, although sometimes in the neighborhoods, City of Columbus has had challenges.
Yes.
So what were the kinds of things you were working on?
Strategy. So really, you know, a public sector organization or department and a nonprofit sometimes don't always think like a business. How are we setting goals? How are we measuring success? How are we aligning towards what everyone is working on? So I was part of creating a strategic framework for the department to really think about not just the outputs of the work, but really also to start thinking about the outcomes. I led the community relations department, so how we tell our stories, how we raise money. We were working to try to start a foundation to help philanthropically support the city parks and recreation system, because when money is tight, and it always is in the public sector, parks and recreation are often the first things to get cut.
Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah.
And we're seeing budgeting challenges right now, especially with schools, obviously,
Yeah.
from state dollars and local dollars. And we're also seeing a resistance, I think, to new levies.
Yes.
You know, Mifflin Township is losing their police department because of it. So, you know, you're talking about operating like a business. You've never really been in the business world. How do you get that mindset to apply business principles when you're in the public sector?
Well, I believe, and I teach this as part of the courses I teach at Ohio State, is that the principles around strategy and leadership and change transcend sectors. So what makes a publicly traded company successful are the same principles that will make a nonprofit or a public sector successful, and primarily because it's, you know, I heard my bio being read and talking about human-centered strategy and design. That's because humans are at the center of it, and a human and a heart and the feelings of someone that works at Columbus Recreation and Parks is not any different than someone that works at a private sector organization.
But who you answer to is certainly different. You're not answering to stockholders. You're not answering to funders. You are answering essentially to the public,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, by way of elected officials, which has its own, you know, unique challenges.
Yeah, we saw some of that at City Hall this week.
Yes. Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's not.
Let's gossip a little bit.
We could go back to the green room for that and turn off the mics.
So that transition, then you ended up at the Y, right? After the city? You've
No.
had a lot of jobs.
I know.
You're a job hopper.
I'm efficient. I come in, I do what I was asked to do.
Okay.
No, I got, so when I was with Smart Columbus, we did a scope of work with Deloitte, and after that work, they recruited me to think about applying to Deloitte. And I come from very, very humble beginnings. And so the idea that I was smart enough to work somewhere like Deloitte, or that I could live the lifestyle that would afford me, I had this vision of what that would be like. And oftentimes I have been an internal consultant. I'm an internal problem solver. I take on projects, I facilitate teams. And so I thought, well, why not travel the world doing consulting? Yes, that's great. So I got hired at Deloitte, and after about 30 days, I knew it was not a good fit for me. And it was a really good lesson for me to slow down and to make sure that I don't get swept up by the concept of something, that I really know the culture and the values of an organization. And not that the culture or the values of Deloitte are bad, they just weren't a good fit for how I prefer to work and operate.
What was it about it that wasn't a good fit? Because what you're saying is very perceptive.
Yeah.
A lot of people would think, well, I'm at Deloitte. I've got to figure this out and stay
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
What
And-
was it that made you know this is not me?
Well, because it gave me an opportunity to realize what are my strengths and how do I like to work. So the great thing about working in local government and nonprofit space is you oftentimes have to wear many hats. You're playing a larger role. You're getting to lead, no matter what your position is, at a higher level, because there's so much that needs to be done. Whereas at Deloitte, you have a very particular role you're filling on a team, and where in local government, I could share ideas and help drive the way we were solving something, which I've learned is my way of being creative. And that's not how Deloitte operates. So I wasn't feeling alive in my work. And partner track, money, bonuses. I also learned that I don't value the money or the prestige over feeling like I'm being of service on a daily basis.
Was that a hard decision to come to?
It was a hard decision because I felt like I was a failure.
Especially after only 30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, who do you go to and say this isn't working?
My coach. So I've worked with a coach for a long time that has helped build self-awareness within me, that's helped me become a better and more effective leader and human and wife. And it was through conversations with her that I first admitted that it was not a good fit.
So then what did you do? Did you just resign after 30 days?
No, I did not resign. So the world works in funny ways. And if you're earlier in your career here, here's what I'm going to tell you. You never know who's going to offer you a job in the future. And you never know who your possible next boss is going to be. So my former colleague from Gahanna, who hired me at Recreation and Parks, he became the president and CEO of the YMCA. And I took him to lunch to celebrate. And we were at the Old Mohawk in German Village. And I remember he literally turned over the placemat and was drawing out what he wanted to do with the org chart and asking for my input and feedback. And he said, you know, Brandi, had you not just made this amazing career move, I would ask you to come be our chief strategy officer. And in the moment, I just kind of nervously laughed. I didn't say anything. It took me really reflecting on it, talking to my coach to follow back up and said, you know, if you were actually serious about that, I would like you to consider me. And so a few months later, I joined the YMCA of Central Ohio as the chief strategy officer. I'm very, very lucky.
And what was the reaction at Deloitte before we move on to the why?
Wow.
What was that reaction like? Because I know what goes a little bit into, my daughter's an HR manager, and I know what goes into a little bit from the periphery of what goes into recruiting someone and getting them on board and training up. And so what was the reaction there?
The reaction to me was fine. And I don't want to, try to guess what people's internal thoughts were. But it seemed fine.
And you knew this was the move for you.
I knew it. I knew that I wanted to use my strengths and my skills for an organization that is serving the community in a different way than Deloitte was.
So tell me about life at the Y.
Yeah, life at the Y was great. I helped, I would say, spearhead change within the Y and how the Y was operating. Of course, I started in October. In March, COVID happened. And so it really, the work I was going to be doing didn't come to fruition right away because we were trying to respond to COVID. And the Y's major source of revenue are the community centers. Well, we had to shut down all the community centers, so it decimated our revenue. But once we were over the impacts of COVID, then it was about creating a strategic plan for the future, doing some work on culture building, which is directly tied to strategy. If you don't have a thriving, strong culture, a good strategy means nothing. And then our CEO asked me to take on fundraising, which I wasn't thrilled about. I didn't really have experience in it, but I took on and built out our fundraising team and made some changes to our fundraising program, which suited me well for moving into the Habitat role.
Boy, fundraising was difficult during COVID. Anybody who was involved in a nonprofit, and I've been on some boards, and that just, it just closed everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, and everybody needed money for very important services for the community.
Yeah, and people weren't making money.
No.
Yeah, it was really tough. So I'm just going to back up a little bit. What was your husband's reaction when you said, that job I got at Deloitte, that with the money and the travel?
Yeah.
And remember I told you about that?
Well, what was easy is I wasn't married at the time. I got married a little later in life.
Oh, so nobody cared.
Nobody, nobody cared. No one cared. It was just up to me, and again, navigating feeling like that I'm disappointing other people or that I'm a failure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no one cared.
I don't think anybody would label you a failure.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's talk about what now is your big challenge, which is running Habitat.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So I've known for a long time that I wanted to lead at a higher level, that I wanted to lead a department, an organization, something where I could be of service and make an impact on the community. When it was announced that my predecessor was leaving, a couple good friends said, you should go for that job. And I said, I don't think, I don't know that I'm the right person. But with some warm coaching, I did end up applying once the job was posted, and went through a search process. And
By the way, how did you find a coach? How do you go about connecting with someone who is helping you make these major life decisions?
yeah, well, it's, the world sometimes unfolds in really interesting ways. And when I was at Recreation and Parks, someone on my team introduced me to Mary Lou Langenhop, the former CEO of Children's Hunger Alliance. And she said, I think you would just learn a lot from her. So I said, great. We had lunch. Mary Lou says to me, you should meet with my friend Suzanne. She's a coach. She could really help you. I didn't even know what coaching was, but she said the first session's free. And I said, okay. So I go and meet with her friend, the coach. And in those 50 minutes together, I knew that this person was going to help change my life. And I didn't care how much it cost. I didn't care what the commitment was. I left there, A, in tears, but B, saying, yes, I'm going to work with you.
So what kinds of things, I've never worked with a coach,
Yeah.
maybe I need one, but what kinds of things it almost sounds therapeutic.
Oh, it can be. It can be very therapeutic. I mean, coaching is about building, first and foremost, self-awareness. It's getting you to come out and be an observer of who you are and how you show up in the world, and how you can make shifts to be more effective at whatever it is you want to be doing. So a coach is a person that will astutely observe you, what you say, what you don't say, help build that self-awareness, and will tell you the things that most other people in your life won't tell you.
Sometimes brutal truths.
Very brutal truths.
Give me an example.
Well, the first time I sat down with my coach, she said, how are you doing? And I said, fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And she said, no, you're not. And I had been used to being able to, kind of have a facade that I could be who I thought people wanted me to be. And she was the first person that sat with me in a way, and she saw right through that and said, you're not fine. You're speaking, the way you're saying it, the tone of your voice. She said, really, how are you? And just to be seen and heard at that level is incredibly, incredibly powerful.
And how has that affected, you think, your career development?
I would not be in the role I'm in today had it not been for the coaching work I've done. I was effective at work. I was a driver. I could get things done, but I was not a team builder. People that worked with me, and if you're in the audience, you can stay quiet, but there were times where maybe you felt railroaded by me, that yes, I got things done, but it probably didn't feel good to be by my side, or certainly not to be led by me. And so to step into a president and CEO role, even of an Habitat, we're medium sized. We have 75 people. To effectively lead, you can't do that if you're railroading people, if you're not being relational and connecting with individuals. And I would have never built that level of self-awareness and then worked on it, but for the help of a coach, I believe.
Do you find yourself mentoring people?
I try to bring what I've learned as a coachee. Also, I've gone through coach training myself, and what my coach told me, she said, it's going to make you a more effective leader. And oh my goodness, she was right. In fact, I've been so inspired by how coaching has transformed how I lead, that I pitched a new course for OSU. This is before I was at Habitat, of course, with coaching as a leadership skill, around how leaders can understand the art and science of coaching and bring it into how they lead and manage people in
So what's your
organizations.
take on, I'm going to get to Habitat, I promise. But what is your take, since you are at the college level, on tomorrow's leaders, on students, because I get different perspectives from people about this generation, how they learn, how they show up.
Yeah.
What is your take on it?
It's interesting. So there are some students that I am so inspired by because they do all the work, they participate, their writing is phenomenal. And so, and then they ask questions and they want to meet after class, and that's inspiring to me. I'm seeing a lot of students or young people in the workplace that I would say are lacking, and forgive me if this isn't the right word, a level of resiliency to navigate the difficulties that are just part of life, whether it's academic life or life at work or life at home. So yeah, I'm concerned about that resiliency because I think it can be very difficult to be successful in any career, in any role, if you don't have some level of self-regulation.
I think the young people that I encounter at work, and obviously I'm the oldest person in the newsroom, except for Ben Gelber. But he's not in the newsroom, so he doesn't count. I'm the oldest person in the newsroom. But I'm continually surprised at how they all know already about work-life balance. And I think they grew up maybe with my generation where we were all work, work. I mean, my father never called a day off sick the entire time I was growing up. One day when I was in the 4th grade, he stayed home sick. And I still remember it because it was such a shock that he missed work. And so when you grow up with that, and then I was kind of like, I got to work. No matter what I'm doing, it's not enough. And I think that this generation is like, why do you all do that?
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's part of the difference, but it also makes it more difficult for leaders and employers, right?
Yes, yeah. We have to reinvent how we think about hiring, developing, and retaining talent, to be sure. I mean, it's amazing to me, folks that just don't, they have an interview and they don't even show up for it. I mean, that did not used to happen, but it's different. Yeah, it's different now, and it's different what people are expecting in the workplace and wanting to have more of a say and wanting to know the why behind things, and that is all fine, of course, and I think that makes organizations stronger and more enriched. I do think, and I don't know if it's a sense of, I don't know that entitlement's the right word, but you know, people that come in and work a few weeks and then they're like, well, I want to be the director of such and such, and it's like, oh, okay, well, slow down. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, let's call it interesting. Yeah. Okay, so now let's get to Habitat for Humanity. Tell me what was like. That is an organization, you know, we all know what they do, but it certainly has challenges. Mm-hmm. It's funded by the public, by people who care about that sort of thing. So what's it been like transitioning to Habitat?
Yeah, well, it's been amazing. Habitat is an amazing international organization that has phenomenal brand recognition. Also, when I came in, I spent my first 3 months really trying to listen to our employees, our board members, to really get a feel for things. And what I knew to be true was that the people who were involved with Habitat care very, very deeply about the work and want it to be successful. So that's wonderful to walk into.
And you mentioned the board. Working with a nonprofit board, I imagine, is very different than even when you were in, the public sector.
Yeah.
It's different when you're answering to a board.
Yes.
And being a board member, I'm always, cognizant that even though I'm on the board, he doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
He doesn't, I can ask the questions and I can ask about the financials, but what's it like managing a board? Because let's be honest, you guys manage us.
Yeah, I mean, I think at any level you have to, oftentimes when we think about leadership, we think about leading down, leading the people that work for us. But leadership is down across. You have to be able to lead and influence your peers. Leadership's all about influence. And so I and our leadership team, we have to influence the board. And but that's a fine line, because I think it's very important that we influence the board and that we help bring them along, but that we're also very transparent with what's going well in the organization and what's not, because if we're going to have a team of board members that all have diverse and robust experiences and educations of their own, I want those board members to be fully informed so that they can help us navigate some of our biggest challenges. And in the affordable housing space, there are a lot of challenges we have to navigate, and I want to make sure the board knows them and is helping us.
Columbus area, this region is in a housing crisis. We hear about it all the time.
Every day.
You know, even the suburbs trying to deal with, you know, you mentioned Hilliard, they're trying to decide just how many apartment complexes can we cram into this former farming town.
Yeah.
You know, the explosion of population, I don't think we have a handle on where we're going to be even 10 years from now.
No.
So what's the role of Habitat in that?
Yeah.
Because you are dealing with families at a different income level.
Yeah, we're dealing with families at a different income level. So the thing that got me excited about the Habitat job was not just to lead an organization, but to steward an organization, an affordable housing builder and developer during an affordable housing crisis. Like, it's a chance for the organization to look in the proverbial mirror and to ask, how can we be of service to the community? And that's what we're doing right now as an organization. How can we be part of helping solve the region's affordable housing crisis? We won't do it all, and we won't even play the biggest part in it, and that's okay. But how can we do more?
And what are you doing? I mean, what do you see? Like, how many houses in any given year will you be working on?
Yeah, so in any given year of late, we have probably built 10 to 15 single-family homes, built or rehabbed homes that we then, and there's a misnomer with Habitat that we give away houses for free. We don't. We also operate as a bank, and so we are issuing an affordable mortgage to the family. So we are building and then selling homes. We also do critical home repairs. So on average, we're doing 100 to 115 critical home repairs. So a big, the affordable housing landscape is an ecosystem. There's lots of pieces and parts to it, everything from homelessness all the way up to affordable home ownership and helping people stay in their homes. So if someone's in their home and they have a critical home repair that they can't afford to have done, we will come in and make those repairs for a very nominal fee. Where do I see us going? I see us building more houses, and a couple different ways we're going to do that. We are right now working on our first ever multifamily project, so fee simple townhomes, duplex and triplexes. We're doing this in with partnership of the City of Columbus. So we're going to build more units on less land, which has to be part of the solution. So hopefully we will do more multifamily. And I really see us moving into more of a developer space, being a co-developer with either another affordable housing developer or a market rate developer. So we're being part of building a mixed income community, which there are so many benefits to.
I know from just lunches that I've had with Bob Weiler that he's very interested in trying to reach that low income family. He was even talking to me one time about taking some apartment complexes he has, using Homeport to take them from being rentals to being homes that people can afford. So would you link up with someone like that, like the Weiler developers, or is that something that that Habitat would do? Because we don't think of you as being in that commercial space.
I know. And sorry, Leah, I think you're here. I don't want to try to take Bob Weiler from you. But yes, that's exactly what we want to do. And so a big part of my job, I would say, has been reintroducing Habitat to the community. That, and this is nothing negative about the role Habitat has played, but I think people have a perception that Habitat is church groups and volunteers that are building a few houses a year, and that's great. And yes, and that is true. And we're a faith-based organization. We value our church partnerships and our many, many volunteers. And we have space to scale and show up in a bigger way, and not for the sake of Habitat, but for the sake of the community to, again, help solve the affordable housing crisis that we're facing.
We do think of Jimmy Carter, the Habitat for Humanity,
Yes.
volunteers, and isn't a component of Habitat that the people who will move into the house also have a responsibility to come and do some of the work?
Yeah.
And I always thought, nobody would ever want me to come and work on a house. It would fall down.
Yeah.
So, but isn't that a component
That
of
is
what
part,
it is?
yeah, so the families we work with, they have mandatory volunteer hours, and ideally they are working on their own house. There's something that's really beautiful about that when you show up and there's a hole in the ground, and then you're part of bringing it to a home, and you know, I think sometimes people are amazed that it goes from this to that in 4 to 6 months, and that they had a hand in it. But we're flexible. If their work schedule doesn't allow them to be on site for their own home, they'll do other volunteer service. But yeah, that is part of the model. The great thing about Habitat is we have trained, highly capable and competent construction leads who not only can build a beautiful and well-constructed house, every day they work with volunteers who have never swung a hammer. I used a nail gun for the first time, and they're able to guide them on the journey of being part of building a house. And our volunteers leave stating that they learned new things, that they feel more confident, that they're proud of themselves. So it's really quite a beautiful experience from all perspectives.
So how does someone connect with you? How do families find Habitat or come to you and say, you know, I've got this critical construction problem at my house and I need somebody to help me?
Yeah, so when it comes to the home repair, it's often word of mouth. Now, oftentimes other organizations know we do this, so the city will refer people to us, or other organizations will. When it comes to new home, and this is wild, right now it's all word of mouth. And here's what's even more wild. Last year, we had a 2-week application window where families could pick up or print out an application and bring it in. Colleen, we had 300 applications submitted, knowing we were going to build 10 houses. And that's just a micro example of the larger scale of the problem that we're facing with affordable housing.
So how do you go through those 300 applications and decide, because these are probably all families who need help.
Yeah.
How do you decide who needs, is it a matter of who's in the dire straits, or who, you know, how do you decide who's deserving of your help?
Well, so there's a process. First, is the application complete? So of those 300, not all of them are complete. They're screening. So we do have requirements around work and your credit history. It's nowhere near as stringent as a private bank, but there are still, we want to set people up for success. We don't want to connect someone to a mortgage that they won't be able to afford, and that then they'll have to move out of the house. So there's a process by which the applications are screened, and then we have a homeowner services team, a small team of 2 people that do all this work. We have a committee that review them and also do home visits as part of it, because part of Habitat's history and core model is that there has to be a need for housing, and so you're visiting the folks, their current living condition, which I think is a whole experience in and of itself to see that.
Yeah, so have you done that?
I have not yet. I have not, which I need to.
So we all know about funding challenges
Yeah.
right now, especially in the nonprofit arena. Just this week, Meals on Wheels, the Life
Yeah.
Care Alliance announced that they've already used up all the federal dollars that they're going to get this year.
Yeah.
They may have to discontinue some of these meal services and cut back, and they're trying to do new funding. It's a tough time. Federal dollars are not going to nonprofits. And the organizations I work with, we are not meeting our funding needs. People don't have money
Yeah.
to give. So how has that affected your organization?
So far, we have not been directly impacted by federal dollars. So we do receive dollars from HUD that flow through the City of Columbus that we use to the tune of about $1 million a year. If those go away, if those dollars change, we would have to act quickly. I mean, $1 million, you can build about 4 houses for that. So that would be a significant impact to us. But we can't control what's happening at the federal government. And so we are very much focused on what is in our circle of control. So one of that is fundraising? How are we telling our story? How are we engaging corporate, foundation, and individual donors to be part of Habitat's work and mission? Also as our own economic engine. So the Habitat for Humanity, we operate the Habitat Restore. We have 3 of them in our network. If you haven't been to a Habitat Restore, please go. It's one of the best kept secrets in Central Ohio, where we sell new and gently used items. Anything you need to upfit, upkeep, take care of a home. Doors, flooring, windows, paint, tools, furniture. And so the money that those stores generate help fund the work of Habitat. And so we're very much focused on looking at our own resilience of, yes, losing federal dollars or state dollars or local dollars is not good, and it would have a dramatic impact on our organization. How are we preparing for that possibly happening? Because it could happen anytime. These dollars aren't necessarily guaranteed.
The Restore, is that stuff that people donate?
It's both. It's things that people donate. It's things that corporations or organizations donate. And there are some things that we purchase and then sell. So it's a little bit of everything.
So how would you describe your management style? You talked a little bit about, that you think you obviously it's evolved and changed through coaching, but how would you describe your management style?
That's hard to answer when I have people on my team here, but
maybe I should ask.
Audience poll. I try to be very collaborative. I try to meet people where they are, but I also try to be incredibly clear in what my expectations are, what success looks like, what my feedback is, and that changes. Like the people on our executive leadership team that report directly to me, I have very high expectations on how they're developing and holding themselves as leaders in the organization, because no organization can be successful under the leadership of just, I am one person with one job and one set of responsibilities. If Habitat's really going to transform and be a leader in helping solve the region's affordable housing crisis, we need a whole network of leaders within the organization. So my leadership style is to try to help grow and evolve other leaders within the system.
We don't think of you mentioned getting the message out. I mean, you have to market yourself.
Yeah.
We think of marketing as being more in the commercial arena.
Yeah.
But you have to market in a way that entices people to support you.
Yeah.
What have those challenges been like?
Well, one of those challenges is when I joined, we had nobody with marketing and communications experience on the team. So first is, me really thinking about what's the message I'm sharing, but how are we building the internal capability to do storytelling and marketing of the organization? Because we are selling something. We're selling an idea, a concept. We're also selling things in our Restore, and we need help in getting that message out. So we have built out an advancement team. We have a director of marketing and communications that's helping do that work. But it's been a challenge.
Is your messaging mostly online? I mean, is this digital? What markets are you going after?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is online. We have a large newsletter database that we send things out to. But honestly, Colleen, a lot of it is just from being out and meeting with people and groups and organizations and planting seeds around what is Habitat and what are we trying to do. I believe like word of mouth is the best way to get a message out, and that's a big part of what my job is as the president and CEO.
If you could wave a wand and make a connection with someone that to be a donor, to be, that key source for your organization, who's your dream connect? And are they in this room?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not going to name a name, but I think about that in two channels. One is, if there was an organization or a person that would want to be the primary benefactor of Habitat, right? Like I look at Healthy Homes, which is doing amazing work, and they have the backing of Nationwide and also Nationwide Children's Hospital, which is just profound for so many ways. So is there an organization or a person that would want to be part of helping bring Habitat's work to life? The other piece of that is the market rate developers. I want them to think about as Habitat as a possible developer partnership, especially with there are requirements in the City of Columbus now that to get certain tax incentives, you have to have a certain amount of your housing that is affordable. We are the perfect partner, along with Homeport, to come to the table and bring that to life.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a challenge, isn't it? I mean, we're seeing naming rights now are open for the soccer stadium.
Yeah.
If any of y'all want that, lower.com is going away, so maybe it could be Habitat for Humanity. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
So what is your ideal employee? And I know some of them are here, so be careful.
Yeah, well, I would say, and again, that changes by level. Again, I have very high expectations for the leaders within our organization and how they are showing up. And so I think about leadership as a journey, you know, where often I see, especially younger people, that they think leadership is a binary state, that, oh, once I get this title, I'm a leader versus not being a leader. No, we're all leaders, and your whole life is a journey of becoming a more effective leader and eventually, hopefully, a transformational leader. So for the leaders that I work with, I expect them to see themselves on journey as of growing as leaders. So we're reading books, we're reading articles, we're talking about things, and that is that's a high expectation that I don't think a lot of people are used to. They're used to just showing up and doing their job and feeling like that's good enough. Within the organization, I look for people who are willing to work hard, to speak their truth, and to be part of creating a healthy and thriving culture.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I mean, I see myself, so I have a 7-month-old, so I'm on this journey of like learning how to become a mom. In 5 years, you know, I don't know what the future holds, and I don't dare, especially after the journey I've been on, to declare where I'll be. But what I do know will happen over the next 5 years is I will be part of stewarding a transformation at Habitat, where we're showing up in a more impactful way for the community.
Well, we have a question, as we always do, from CEO Magazine. I think Ms. Hoba is going to show up and ask us a question. Julianne?
Thanks, Colleen. Good morning, everybody. We have a lot of success in Central Ohio, and then we also have those pockets of great need. How can the business community and the nonprofit community join forces to help us solve some of those problems, including affordable housing?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think we already see that in terms of connection between the business and the nonprofit community. And we see that by, I mean, Colleen, you talked about being on a board. A number of the Habitat board members are here. Like, we have a very philanthropically minded and civic-minded private sector here through board service, volunteering, supporting nonprofits with dollars. I think specifically in affordable housing space, and I hope this comes as part of the Regional Housing Coalition the mayor has announced and will be incubated at the Columbus Partnership, is there are so many players in the affordable housing space, public, private, nonprofit. I think there's an opportunity for all those players to come together and really think about what is our connective roadmap for how we're going to transform housing. Everything from people experiencing homelessness all the way to affordable home ownership and everything that is part of that continuum.
And there really is a need for, but you know, I would say, and tell me if you agree with this is a community that is pretty collaborative.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
You know, we see people and organizations working together for the common good.
Yeah.
Are you optimistic that that will continue and that that could be part of the solution?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it has to be.
Yeah,
well, I think it has to be.
We thank you for answering our questions
Thank
this morning.
Thank you,
with
Colleen.
us. Wasn't she great?
You made this very fun and easy.
Really good job.
Oh my gosh, I know Pat from Gahanna 20 years ago. Amazing. Sorry.
First of all, thank you, Colleen and Brandi. I can say, having worked with Brandi many years ago, for me, not for her, it was just yesterday for her, the City of Columbus, or Gahanna, she was tremendously effective in her role then, and I look forward to what you achieve in the next 5 years in transforming the role.
Thanks, Pat. It's so good to see you.
You too. We'll catch up here. So I'm Pat Cornelius, a partner at Barnes & Thornburg. We are a full-service law firm with 24 offices across the country and over 800 lawyers, and we are a long-standing partner with the Columbus CEO Insights series. So, and it is my distinct honor to name the 10 Fixed Income Awards. The last time I did this, we had like 100 interns, so I was really rooting for them. This time, don't know, but I do know a couple names here. So, Chris Pope, Angel Muma, Scott McGinall, Ray Wilson, Alexa Bermudez, Phil Silvestri, Karen Hedgemanowski, Oscar Garcia, Josh Cobbs, and Sophie Chase. Please just stop at the front table on your way out to pick up your card. So, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you again for the presentation, and please check the website for next events, and look forward to seeing you.